And good afternoon. It's now 3 o'clock. It's time to start our last session in a series of five in our masterclass series, Essential Modules for Teaching for Character. And today we are going to talk about a very important topic, which many teachers really, from our experience, appreciate very much because research says that one of the most frequent reasons why a teacher leaves the profession, gives up, and moves on to another field or another profession is because of failure in classroom management. You know, that idea of a teacher losing control of the class, or we can even say the class controlling the teacher instead of the other way around. And so today we're going to talk about that. And much of what I'm going to share with you, I learned from the guru of classroom management, Harry Wong, who became a very good friend of mine when I brought him over with his wife, Rosemary Wong, to Manila. And they gave this seminar to more than 7,000 teachers in SMX, how to be a super successful teacher. Because today we're going to talk about classroom management, which is different from classroom discipline, which many people think are the same. That classroom discipline is all about classroom management, or classroom management is all about disciplining the class. Well, where you're up for a big surprise, because we're going to say even later, you don't need to discipline if you know how to manage. And I'm going to share with you many of his ideas from the best selling book on classroom management, First Days of School by Harry and Rosemary Wong, which has sold more than 5 million copies, translated into many languages. That's what we're going to talk about today because we want to be successful teachers of formation, teachers of character. I mean, how can you form the character of your students if you are the kind of teacher I know, like some teachers I know, who shout, scream, and yell? And even worse, they resort to using foul language to be able to manage the class, to be able to discipline the class. I'm sure many of you have experienced having students who will not behave when you just tell them to stop talking, to keep quiet, to sit up straight, to um, fix their eyes on the board and not to look around. And you will have to repeat that over and over again. And you get tired, you get exhausted, you can get exasperated. Today, I'm going to share with you ideas, strategies, approaches by which you can make John do what you want him to do without you even having to resort to shouting, screaming, and yelling, without even having to repeat again and again. Keep quiet, stop talking, eyes here on the board, listen here. John, how many times do you have to tell? No, we will have to get rid of those and then learn strategies to get John to do what we want him to do these strategies, which uh, are proven to be good, effective. So let's immediately get into the principles. Okay. According to Harry Wong, a teacher goes through four stages of teaching. The first stage is when you remember the very first time you taught on your very first day. You remember you decided to become a teacher because you wanted to make a difference in the lives of your students. You may have been thinking, I will be a great teacher. My students will like me. My students will be the best students there are. And they will like my subject, and by the time I reach the end of my lecture, I will say, class, I have to dismiss you now. And your students will say, no, ma'am, we want more. We want more. That's the stage one of teaching called fantasy. And some of us may have actually passed through that stage, thinking that our students are going to be like angels. They will do what we ask them to do. Fantasy. Fantasy, according to Harry Wong, usually would end the day you enter the classroom, and then the students are noisy, the students are misbehaving and boisterously laughing. You enter the classroom, they look at you and they continue laughing. And that's when you will have to resort to shouting to get them to keep quiet, to get them to go back to their classroom, to get them to behave. And that is the second stage of teaching, when you try to survive. And some of you may have actually reached that stage. We are now on the fifth month of the school year, halfway through, and perhaps you had students already who were like that. When you correct them, they react badly and they look at you like as if you are uh, the one at fault. I mean, they become hard and difficult to deal with. And it's like when you write your lesson plan, unit plan, objective of the day, to survive without having to get angry, to finish the day without ever having to lose my patience. That's the objective. Well, it's sad because sometimes you can have teachers just trying to survive, especially teachers who stop being in control of the class, unable to manage the behavior, the discipline of the students, especially with the kind of students we have these days, who are distracted. It's a distracted generation. While you are lecturing, their mind is in the video games. Their mind is in Netflix movie they want to finish. It's in the um, teleserie that they want to finish in the YouTube survival. But then you continue teaching and you start learning better ways of doing things. You start learning that if you teach this subject this way, they will be engaged. If you give them this exercise, they will like and be excited about the lesson. That's when you reach the third stage of teaching called mastery. When you do not just master your subject matter, but even you start learning better ways of managing the students, of delivering the lessons, mastery. But in this whole series, the four previous sessions you attended, I think you have seen, you have heard that we are not just here teaching a subject, we are not just covering the curriculum, we are not just after the students passing an exam, we are after the fourth stage of teaching, which is impact. We want to make an impact in the lives of our students. So, Harry Wong says those are the four stages of teaching that many times we go through. But here's the problem: sometimes I meet teachers who stay in the survival mode, the survival stage, for many years. And they, as I said, I've even seen teachers who, you know, they reach a point where the only way they can get the students to do what they want them to do is by getting angry, by showing the class how upset he or she is. That's survival. We will learn strategies today on how not to just survive, but to really make an impact in the lives of our students. There is this magazine called Educational Leadership. If there's only one magazine your school is going to subscribe to, let it be this Educational Leadership, which is a magazine that puts together studies, researches, um, articles that are helpful for educators all over the world. And there was one study they conducted, the most thorough study that probably you can ever encounter on effective teachers. They interviewed, spanning 50 years, many teachers, many students, asking them what are the top traits of effective teachers that you ever had in your life. And then they put together all these and they came up with these top three. Here are the top three um, traits of an effective teacher according to that. So we go to the first. Here is the first trait according to that study. And this is precisely our topic for this afternoon session. After asking thousands of teachers and students, they discovered that the top trait that came out in that study of an effective teacher is a good classroom manager is able to manage the class regardless of number of students inside the classroom. If the teacher is able to um, manage the class, learning can take place. The teacher is effective. And then the second trait that came out is this: an effective teacher designs lessons to reach mastery. So I am not a fan of teachers who brag that half the class is failing or that many students are failing. Well, that means the teacher did not design the lessons for the students to reach mastery. If there are too many people, too many students failing in the class, it's a sign that the teacher is not able to motivate the students or is not able to make the students understand and to reach mastery of the subject matter. And the third is this that came out in that study: an effective teacher has positive expectation that students will be successful. So, according to many studies, the number one factor governing learning is classroom management. It's not discipline, it's not self esteem, it's not motivation, it's not class size, it's the ability of the teacher to manage the class effectively. And so, let's go right away into that. But first, let's differentiate. Disciplining is not the same as managing the class. As I said at the start, if you know how to manage, you don't need how to discipline. Sometimes, in fact, the title I give to this course, this class, is Stop Disciplining and Start Managing. Stop disciplining and start managing. And that's what we should be doing: managing the class, not disciplining. Let's differentiate it. You know, stewardesses in airlines do not discipline. They manage the airplane, they manage the passengers. For example, what do they do in every airline? Whatever airline you ride, Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines, Virgin Air, Air Asia, whatever airline you ride, what do they do? Before takeoff, they review the procedures, not rules. They review the procedures. And any airline you enter, the procedures are the same. And this is now where you have sometimes problems in some schools when different teachers have different procedures to the point that the students now don't know. You will stand a better success in managing the class effectively if whatever classroom the student enters, the expectations, the procedures are the same. So in any airline, the procedures are the same. And they announce this: open the window shade, close the table in front of you, straighten up the seat, fasten your seat belt. Those are all the same procedures. They're not rules, they are procedures. Meaning to say, just what you want the passengers to follow, to do. And then, what do the stewardesses do after reviewing the procedures? They will now go around the airline. Remember, they're not disciplining, they're managing. They will go around to check if everyone is following the procedure. And then if they see somebody not following the procedure, they only do two things. Sir, ma'am, they call the person, please straighten up the desk where the table we're about to take off. Sir, ma'am, please fasten the seatbelt. In other words, they just do two things. They call you sir or ma'am, and then they tell you exactly what they want you to do. No other unnecessary remarks, comments, words, because that is disciplining. For example, I know some teachers who, to discipline the students, they will say, John, how many times do I have to tell you? Stop talking. Didn't you hear me? What is wrong with you? That's disciplining. And then those are all useless words. When all you have to do really is to say, John, please be seated. John, please stop talking. Or later, I'm going to teach you strategies on how to make John stop talking without even having to call his name, without even having to say, please stop talking. There are ways of being able to do it. So stop disciplining and start managing. And like the stewardess says, we will just do those two things. Call the person and tell that person exactly what you want him or her to do. As I've said, or even better yet, we will have those strategies later on. Again, manage, not discipline. And how do we do that? We will be able to do it if we give them procedures to follow. Okay? Clearly define classroom procedures. And so let's differentiate what procedures and routines are. Procedures are what you want students to do, what you want them to do if you want them to pay attention. If you want them to stop talking after giving them the instruction of get a partner and discuss the answer to the question, and then you already want them to stop talking and you want their attention, what's the procedure? What's the procedure if you want to get the paper? Okay, class, stop writing and pass the papers. How do you want them to pass the papers? Um, you can have as many procedures as you want for as long as you rehearse them over and over until they become routine. Procedures, what you want students to do, and make them do the procedures over and over and over again until they become automatic. Routine, what the students do automatically. Because research experts would say the number one problem in the classroom is not discipline, it's the lack of procedures and routines. Or there may be procedures, but the students do not memorize them because you did not rehearse them over and over again, or you did not implement them or make the students do them repeatedly, or you were not consistent in implementing the procedures. So, as I said, you can have as many procedures as you want to put in place for as long as you make them rehearse, memorize until they become routine. For example, here are some procedures you should teach students in the beginning of the school year. The first days of this, that's why the title of the book of Dr. Harry Wong is First Days of School. For example, I'll give you concrete examples that he teaches in the book First Days of School. Passing in papers. What is your procedure if you want the students to pass their test paper at the end of an exam? Here is an example of an ineffective teacher, especially if your classroom is arranged in such a way that the students are in the traditional rows, right? Teachers would usually say, okay, class, stop writing, pass the papers forward. According to Harry Wong, that is the worst way of passing in papers. Why? Because when you say that, pass the papers forward now, um, not all students will stop writing. Some will start passing the papers, but the guy in front is still answering. So what does the guy at the back do? He will have to hit the paper, the student in front of him with a paper. Uy, pass na daw, sabi ni ma'am. And then the person in front who was hit with a paper by the guy at the back will face him and say, ano ba? Hindi pa ako tapos. And the whole class erupts into chaos simply because the teacher says, pass the papers forward. That is the worst way because the people in front do not see, they don't have eyes in their back. They don't see that the person at the back is trying to pass the paper. So here is a better procedure according to Harry Wong. Especially, as I said, if your classrooms are arranged like that, no, with the traditional rows and columns. Okay, class, at the count of five, here's the better way, according to Harry Wong. At the count of five, you see, you value time, that you can only give them 5 seconds to do the procedure of passing the papers. At the count of five, all papers to the aisles. Pass your papers to the left. Those coming from the right side, they will have to pass their papers to the person to their left. Okay. And the teacher taught the students this and made them rehearse it. Okay, class, let's rehearse. When I say five, those students at the end rows should already be passing the papers towards the center. And you will not to hit, you will not have to hit the person beside you because you are within the uh, sight range of view of the person. He will see that that person is passing the paper. When I say four, the second person now should already be passing the papers to the next one. When I say three, the next one, and by the time I reach one, all the papers are already along the aisles. And I will walk down the aisles getting the papers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, take note. I said at the count of five, all papers to the aisles. Five, four, three. You see, I count down because when you say one, two, three, four, five, that can still go to six, seven, eight, nine, 10, and so on. But when I say five, four, three, two, one, it ends with one. All papers should already be in the aisles. And you have to teach the students that and you have to rehearse it with them. Now, you're rehearsing it. And then you see Paul not passing the paper to the person next to him when he is supposed to be doing it. Don't get angry. Don't get mad. Paul is just not following the procedure. So all you have to say is, Paul, what's the procedure, please? He will do it. Thank you. Only that. Day 10, you're asking them to pass the papers, and Paul again doesn't follow. Don't get angry. Don't get mad. Don't raise your voice. Just say, Paul, what's the procedure, please? He will do it. Day 50, day 100, day 200, the final exam day, and Paul still does not follow. Just say, Paul, what's the procedure, please? But you never have to shout, scream, yell. Some teachers would even say, Paul, Are you challenging my authority? No, no, no. The Paul is not challenging your authority. He just is not following the procedure. Just make him follow the procedure. So that's an example. Passing in papers, heading papers. The day one, you should already teach them the procedure. Do you want them to write their full name or just nickname or family name first? And do you want them to put the subject under the, and do you want to make them, do you want them to put the date on the right side so that they will never have to ask questions like, ma'am, do we need to write our name? Ma'am, do we need to put the date? You taught them that procedure of heading of papers in the very beginning. You've rehearsed them on how to do it, and they just have to follow that procedure. The roll call, entering the classroom, especially if they are late. What's your procedure? Do you allow them to just go inside? Do you need them to go to the to the office to ask for a um, slip, a permission to enter classroom if the person is late? When they need to ask a question, what's the procedure? Do they just raise their hand, wait to be acknowledged? Or are you okay with them shouting out the question? What is the procedure? To get to work immediately. When the teacher is tardy, I have a procedure. When the teacher is tardy, the bell rings. The procedure is class president uh, and vice president come forward, take over the class. Secretary, go to the office and inform them that there is no teacher inside the classroom. That's the procedure. It's not a rule, it's just what you expect students to do. Now, here are more. Here are more samples of procedures you should teach and rehearse over and over until they become routine. End of the period class dismissal. Is it the bell that will dismiss them? Or when the bell rings, the procedure is the teacher will have to tell the class, okay, let's first clean up the room, align the desks, and I will be the one to dismiss you, not the bell. That's our procedure in this class. Participating in class discussion. What's your procedure? Do you allow them to just raise their hand and speak while seated, or do you need them to stand by their desk? What is your procedure? Teach and rehearse. When a student needs to borrow a pen or paper, let's face it, it happens. Coming to attention, this is a very important thing, especially if you're like, let's say, your subject happens after PE and students come inside the classroom and you enter and everything is in disarray. Some are still changing. There is trash on the floor. Many chairs are not aligned. An ineffective teacher will get upset, will get angry, will shout, will scream, and will ask the students to hurry up, that they are going to take their sweet time. So, what is your procedure to get the students to come to attention? Here is an example of a good procedure. Harry Wong calls it salami. Stop and look at me. Salami. Okay, class, if I need you to come to attention, here's my procedure. I'm going to go inside the classroom, in the middle of the classroom, and I'm going to raise my hand calmly. I'm not going to put it down until I see you all quiet, ready to listen. Okay? Let us start it. Okay, let us rehearse. For example, um, I want you to get a partner and discuss what I did last summer, last break. Okay, get a partner and then wait until I give the signal for the salami. Okay, they get a partner, they start talking, the noise level starts going up, and in the midst of that noise level going up, you go to the middle of the classroom and calmly raise your hand. They will start keeping quiet. Some will be still talking, but they will see you, or some classmates will point to you to say, Naka, ma'am, the hand is up. Salami. Maybe in the beginning, it's going to take them 5, 8, 10 seconds. But as they continue doing it, rehearsing it, practicing it, it becomes automatic. It becomes a routine. There comes a time when you raise your hand and it doesn't take more than 3 seconds, and they stop and look at you, ready to listen. They have come to another to your they have come to attention. It works. It works, especially if you're consistent and you rehearse this with the students over and over again, coming to attention. Here's another procedure to get the students to come to attention. And I've done this many times, because many times I would ask the students, get a partner, discuss the answer to the question I wrote on the board. You can sit wherever you want, exchange ideas, and then if you need to announce something and they are discussing, you're not going to shout so that you can be heard. There's the bell method. And I taught the students this, they rehearsed it, and it becomes automatic. Okay, class, here's the procedure. If I need you to come to attention, I will ring the bell and I will count three, two, and one. By the time I reach one, I expect everybody to stop talking, even if you're in the middle of your sentence. No need to stand up. Just look at me, because I need to say something. I need to announce something. Okay, let's rehearse it. Then the same, you give them the exercise of get a partner, discuss the answer to the question on the board. You can sit wherever you want. And then at a certain point, you ring the bell. Three, two, and one. But John doesn't stop talking. Don't get angry. Don't get upset. It's enough to say, John, what's the procedure, please? He will stop talking. Thank you. You see, you got them to pay attention without ever having to say anything, without even having to shout anything. All you did was to count three, two, and one. At a certain point, because it becomes automatic, you don't even need to count. Ring the bell and give it a bit of time. They will come to attention. It works. I mean, that works better than having to raise your voice because the noise level is too high. You cannot be heard if you just talk naturally. You will have to increase your volume. No, no need to do that. No need to get tired having to do that. If you have the right procedures and routines, when you're absent, when you want the students to work cooperatively, when you want them to change groups, you can have as many procedures. Just make sure you teach them to the students and you make them rehearse them over and over until they become routine. The procedure in lining up, the procedure in walking to the auditorium for the assembly, for the flag ceremony, the procedure for before I dismiss the class, come up with all the procedures and rehearse them over and over in the first days of school, so that the rest of the year, all you have to do is to follow the procedures, and the class will run like a well-oiled machine. Now, some procedures you don't have to teach at the start of the school year. For example, the procedure during graduation ceremony on how to receive the diploma with the right left hand, and shake the hand of the principal or the person giving you the diploma with the right hand, and then go to the center and take a bow. That's procedure. It's not the rule. It's just what you want the students to do. And you don't have to teach it at the start of the school. You will teach it somewhere near the graduation as you rehearse over and over so that they become automatic, routine. It is the procedures that set up the class for achievement to take place. Okay? Believe me, the kids want discipline even more than you do. I mean, no student would want to be in a class where they are in danger of being hurt, harmed by classmates, harassed, teased, made fun of, which is what happens to classes with poor classroom management of the teacher. Misbehavior starts happening, fighting starts happening. That's why the kids themselves actually want discipline even more than we do. Okay, let me give you five myths of discipline. Some people, some teachers will say, um, do not smile until Christmas. Yeah, that's first myth. That's not true. It's not true. But I heard an older teacher before telling a young teacher, alam mo, just don't smile so that the students will not create trouble. They will be afraid of you. They will do what you want them to do because you have terrorized them. That's not true. In fact, you should smile because we have to be a kind, caring, welcoming classroom. And students should want to be in your class. Smile. The terrorizing them doesn't work. It works, but they hate you. They resent you if you just resort to threatening. In fact, that's related to the second myth. Mr. Antoy, I will not have problems with my discipline if only I am big and tough. If only the students are afraid of me because I am big and tough. No, we don't have to be big and tough. In fact, I remember some teachers who were big, tough, but very motherly, very fatherly, kind, caring, and they didn't have to terrorize us students. Here's another myth. Mr. Rentoy, wala akong problema with discipline if only I have my own latest computer with video projector in every classroom, high definition. Okay, don't get me wrong. If you can afford them, go ahead and have them in your school, but they will not solve the problem of discipline. Just having a high definition video projector will not necessarily solve problems of misbehavior. That's why it's a myth that if only we have the laptop in every computer, we will not have to have problems with them. No. Here's another myth. Mr. Rentoy, if only all my students are from the middle class because the problems are among the very rich who are spoiled kids, very no Mr. Lantoy, um, my students are very poor, they don't have the motivation. That's not true. That's not true. I've had students who are very rich or very poor, but they learn because you're able to manage the class, not because of their economic background. Finally, here's the fifth myth, and we address this especially to young teachers. Okay, many times it's the young teachers who fail in this one. Mr. Lantoy, I don't have any problems with discipline because I will be friends with my students, like a barkada. I will treat them like we're in the same level. We speak the same language. I will also try to be cool and chill with them. Please, you're not meant to be friends with with your class, with your students. They don't need any more friends. They already have so many of them. Check their Facebook. They have so many connections. Instagram, they have so many friends. You are not just meant to be friends. You are meant to be, you are meant to be a role model for them. That's what they need you to be. And that's what they are in search of, not friends. Be friendly, be very, very friendly, which is a different thing, but you have to be a role model for them. Somebody they will look up to, somebody they will say, when I grow up, I want to be like that, like mom, like sir. Respect. Someone they will look up to, respect, and um, want to imitate. Okay, so those are five myths of discipline. Earlier, I taught you procedures and routines. Procedures, what you want students to do, and you will make them do that, make them do them over and over until they become routines, they will become automatic. But it's also good to have a discipline plan. I go around the country visiting schools, talking to principals, and I ask them, do you have a discipline plan in your school? Ah, yes, we have rules. And what if they don't follow? Then they will have to be punished. And then I ask them, okay, but what is the consequence if they follow the rules? Wala. Then I don't have to get angry. Then I don't have to get mad. No, there should be, in fact, positive consequences if they follow the rules. Let me show you some examples of those positive consequences that there should be. Look at this list. Some of them applicable to kinder, preschool, some others applicable even all the way to college, high school. For example, I am proud of you statement. We should be doing that if the students follow your rules. For example, I tell my class, okay, class, we are going to do reporting. Okay? Please exert the effort to do good reports. And then the students present. Well, those who followed the rules, they followed the procedures, they did a good job. You should be telling them, I'm proud of you. You know, the presentation was so great. How I wish we can present this to other sections. How I wish many more other students can listen to this report. That's a way of saying, I am proud of you. And we should be freely giving that as a consequence. And well, it's a positive consequence. It's not necessarily a reward, but for them, it is recognition of their having followed the rules, and therefore you give them that positive consequence. Here are more in the list of Harry Wong positive consequences that you can have if the students follow the rules. Some of them applicable to kinder, preschool. Others can go all the way up to college. Okay? So, in other words, what Harry Wong is saying is okay, give them rules, but now a rule about rules. Do not have so many rules that the students cannot even memorize them. Because if you cannot even make them memorize them, how do you expect them to follow them? I need to make this distinction. Please remember, the procedures I mentioned earlier are not rules. They are merely what you want the students to do, how you expect the students to do. Okay? Rules, on the other hand, you should only have 3 to 5 that they can memorize. In my many years after having learned this from Harry Wong, I would always just have 3 simple rules. Okay, class, these are the only 3 rules I have. Come prepared for class. Um, no unnecessary noise, no unnecessary movement. That's it. No unnecessary noise, no unnecessary movement. Come prepared for class. So those are my only 3 rules. The others are procedures. You can have as many procedures, but only those rules. You should have rules that are only enough for them to be able to memorize. And then the consequences, positive consequences if they follow the rules. Here are some samples of negative consequences, and many of them we have practically possibly done with our students if they choose to break any of our rules. Okay, some of them applicable to lower grades, others even all the way to high school. Some more examples of negative consequences. Some of them again applicable to kinder, preschool. Some others can go all the way up to the higher years, higher grade levels, and more negative consequences. Some of them already included in your student's handbook, school policies. Okay? Now, principle from Harry Wong, there should be more rewards than penalties because students will want to follow rules if they are working towards getting a reward or a positive consequence than avoiding a punishment. Okay, well, we have some few more minutes. Here are more concrete strategies to do classroom management aside from giving them procedures and routines and giving them the discipline plan. Here's the first one. According to Harry Wong, classroom management seminars should be done in ballet studios where you have so many mirrors around because one of the most effective tools, strategies for managing a class is the stare. Have you ever seen a teacher, master teacher, who enter a classroom and the students keep quiet? The teacher doesn't say anything. She just comes inside the classroom and suddenly there is silence. Why? Because the teacher simply gave them the stare, looking at the students with that, I mean, without even having to say anything, the message sent by their stare is, okay, class, I expect best behavior. Um, we show respect to the teacher by keeping quiet, not talking, ready to start the class without saying all those things, but because of the reputation of the teacher. And then the stare says it all. Now, we have to practice, according to Harry Wong, we have to look at our face in the mirror because we may not realize, but when we give the students the stare, the message that might be picked up by the students is like an angry stare. It's like a, um, you guys better keep quiet. I'm sick and tired of all the noise and all the misbehavior because our face shows that kind of message. We may not realize it because we don't see our face unless we look at the mirror and then we practice the stare that will give the message of, oh, come on, class, I expect best behavior. I am a professional. I expect respect from you by following what I need you to do without having to say all those things. But because of the reputation we carry, the consistency of our actions, and then that look in our face that will carry that message, the stare. Let's work on it. But it will take time for us to develop the reputation, to gain the reputation, but we have to start somewhere. And better yet, if from the very beginning of the school year, we carry that kind of aura. Okay, here is another strategy, the check system. Harry Wong says, do not eat up academic time in order to discipline. Okay, so none of this. John, how many times I have to tell you, sit up straight, stop talking. Kanina pa kayong dalawa dyan, ah. Anong ginagawa? None of those things. Here is the check system, and I'm glad Harry Wong, Hal Urban, Ron Clark, some of the greatest teachers follow this check system. Remember, I only have three rules in the class. And in the beginning of the school year, I explained to them the meaning of no unnecessary noise, no unnecessary movement. Come prepared for class. So then, what is the check system? It's like this. I'm lecturing. Let's say English is my subject, and I'm talking about, okay, class, subject verb agreement. If the subject is singular, the verb should be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb should be plural. And then I notice John and Joey talking, breaking. That means they have chosen to break my rule on no unnecessary noise. I don't stop. I don't call the names of John and Joey. I just pick up the marker or the chalk and go to the board and write their names, John, Joey. Now, they know it. I explained this very thoroughly, very clearly at the start of the school year, this check system. They know that if I write their names on the board, it's because they have chosen to break one of my rules and I am giving them a warning. No punishment, just a warning because they have chosen to break one of my three rules. You see, and John and Joey will see their names being written on the board and they will stop talking. They will keep quiet because they know that they broke one of my rules. I continue lecturing. However, some subjects are always singular, like someone, somebody, anyone, anybody. And then I see John and Joey talking again. I don't get angry, I don't get upset, and I don't stop teaching. While still talking, I go to the board and put a check mark beside their name. And they know because I explained it at the start of the school year. If their name is written on the board with one check mark, it means that they are going to spend 5 minutes in detention, in recess, lunch, or dismissal, whichever is coming up next. 5 minutes because they chose to break one of my rules again in that class, in that period. A second check mark means 15 minutes of detention. A third check mark means they have to come back on Saturday for detention. A fourth check mark means I would have to talk to their parents. They know it. And I assure you, even if even if I don't reach the point of putting a check mark, they will behave, they will keep quiet. It works. It works. You see, I am able to get John and Joey to do what I want them to do. And I never even called their names. I didn't even stop my lecturing. I just calmly write the name on the board and put a check mark. It works. The check system works. Well, we have practically run out of time. There are many more strategies out there that you can follow, that you can use in order to manage the class, in order to get the students to do what you want them to do without having to raise your voice, without having to stop teaching or lecturing, without um, intruding into your academic time. I encourage you to explore them. Aside from the check system, there is the stopwatch system. It's a reward system that teachers use in order to get the students to do what you want them to do just by following those systems. Okay, well, we've reached the end of our session today, and this is also the end to the 5 day series. I now flash this on the screen. For those of you who are following in YouTube, well, actually, all of you are following in YouTube. Um, Catalyst is going to post there the link you can click in order to claim the certificate for this last session on best classroom management. Um, Scan the QR code or click on the link posted there in the comment section. Fill up the Google form so that you are able to claim your certificate. Once again, we are so grateful for your finding time to join us these days of the series. And well, most likely we will run another series in January. And you can know more about the upcoming seminars by going to characterconferences.com. We hope to see you in our other future sessions. And meanwhile, well, from Catalyst to all of you, we wish you a blessed Merry Christmas as you prepare for the Christmas break. And good luck in your adventures as teachers, agents of character formation, teaching students not just a subject, but preparing them for a successful life. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you again in our other future seminars. Bye, everyone.